it goes. Um, Also, like a lot of channels out there, all they do is running and gunning, right? Um, and yeah, I'll do like my little shit too to point out things that they don't show you on videos, because I know some people don't have fucking bread, and a lot of y'all is just concerned citizens who just want to protect their family and themselves, right? Also, I get into other things. It's not all about running and gunning. For one, if you're in a non-permissive environment and you're just supposed to be observing, like you're fucking CI or some shit, right? Um, if you're in a gunfight, you done fucked up because people ain't supposed to know who you are and that shit, right? So that's really the last thing you want. But I mean, fuck. This goes back to the dang Boy Scouts. Be motherfucking prepared. So I want to talk about social engineering. Nobody talks about that shit, right? And basically, if you studied like the 48 laws of power, you know, um, the art of seduction, laws of attraction, these type of things, and you take a couple classes in college, take a couple psych classes, learn how to manipulate the mind, then you could probably be a master manipulator, and you could use social engineering to your advantage. But you have to understand how the psyche works. Otherwise, it's all for nothing, and you're just gonna like look like a dang monkey fucking a football. So I'll use an analogy that phone freakers were doing back in the 90s. Group of kids crashed AT&T. Crashed that fucker. And, they just started out dumpster diving, looking for codes. And this was back when they were just doing basic. They were fucking writing code in basic and shit. Nothing. I mean, it's 2020 now. Nothing compared to what's going on today. But these kids were just, fucking around. They were being watched, too. They were being monitored. But the guys that were tasked to monitor them were like, well, they're just messing around. They're just looking. They're just, hitting switches. And if y'all ain't hit the switches and that type of shit, then once again, like, this stuff really isn't for you, right? I'm trying to talk to educated, like-minded individuals. The rest of y'all get the fuck out of my wave. For real. Like, stay the fuck out of my lane. There's one hacker. I'm not going to get into his name because it's racist as fuck. But it was funny because he was a black guy. And, he wasn't about that racist shit. Like, I can't say his name on here. But he was fucking smart as fuck. This dude was a genius. And what he used is, dumpster diving only gets you so far. So what he started doing was social engineering, right? So he would call in to whatever phone company it was. And he was smart too. He wouldn't call from his house where there's like no ambient noise in the background. He would go hit a payphone on a busy New York City street. That way it was more convenient. I made another video too talking about manipulating the psyche and how you need to like put two senses into something. Like if you tell somebody something, then they have to hear it, they have to smell it, they have to see it. And then once you lock in those two senses, like you tell them something, and then they see it or they hear it, then it makes them believe that it's real. It's reality. This goes back to conjuring magic, which, I mean, it's the world's second oldest profession with less morals than the first. So back to the topic at hand. He would call and say he worked for the phone company and he was out in the field. And he'd be like, whatever the lady's name was, He'd be like, hey, Sally, whatever. Once, because you probably ask her name. And then you could even get into it more if you would talk to somebody else in that office. right? And ask their name before. And then you could be like, oh, I was just talking to so and so. And that would lock you in. Because then she would be like, oh, he knows my colleague. It could be her friend or something. And then that locks it in, bringing you into another subconscious level. But basically, you'd be like, hey, I'm up on a pole here. I need a fucking line. And then she would patch him through to a direct access, and it would give him a free call. A lot of what these guys were doing back then was just so they could stay online longer because the shit cost money. This is back in the dial-up modem days. And another thing is, all those systems are still running, and it's like everybody forgot about them. It's hitting switches. That shit's still out there. Guys are still like running those rails, riding those waves. This shit's still operational. So, anyways, long story short, because he said he was like, hey, I'm up in a pole. Man, I need this number. I'm trying to reroute this line, whatever, yada yada. And then the woman would hear all like the NYC traffic in the background, all the noise. That's two things. He said, hey, I'm so and so. And then she heard all the noise and she was like, yeah, that sounds like he is up on a pole right now, servicing a line. Which then he used that social engineering to manipulate her to get what he wanted. It's not all about running and gunning, guys. You know, I mean, that shit's cool, and that shit will probably, it could save your life one day. But the shit I'm doing is for a different fucking level. And if y'all can't fucking get that, then once again, the shit ain't for you. Alright? And I'm only doing this because tomorrow is definitely not guaranteed for guys like me. I'll tell you that right the fuck now. I don't know I'm gonna punch my ticket. In 2010, I was abducted. Thought I punched my ticket that day. Thought I was fucking dead. I remember thinking like, damn, my daughter, she just turned 2. And I was like, fuck. Nobody's even gonna know like what happened to me because they're just gonna fucking bury me. Or fucking throw my body in a fucking vat of muriatic acid or whatever, you know. And it's only through God's grace and God's will that I'm standing here right now. Because the only thing I had on me was a ballpoint fucking pen. There were 6 men in the room. And that's the fucking facts. That shit's documented. I don't have to fucking lie about nothing. You can go look that shit up. So anyway, social engineering, guys, little rant. It's not all about running and gunning. You know, like I say, all day, every day, I'm gonna use my wits before my motherfucking fists. You know, this is the primary, this is the secondary. Never forget that shit. Keep everyone in your prayers, because I keep all of y'all in mind.